Hi everyone, and welcome back to my second live stream. And would you believe it, I still haven't got the hang of this whole live streaming thing. I literally just sat here for the last 20 minutes talking to myself apparently and working away on my little project. So here I am about to repeat myself and explain what I've been doing. I am such a dork. Okay, so where you guys left me last time was I was making these little fences. As you can see, I made a bunch of them. Hey, Jake, good to see you. I made 4, and 2 of them were for the long sides because this little cemetery was going to be rectangular, and 2 of them I made shorter. So the longer sides were 3.5 centimeters, and the shorter sides I trimmed back to 3 centimeters. Now, one of them I actually cut a little gate in the middle of it, and while I thought I was showing you how I painted them, the little gate came apart. So I'm going to have to re-glue that back together. There's a few loose parts that fell off because the pieces are so small. There's not a lot of glue holding them together. And of course, they don't do well with a bit of vigorous brushing. So anyway, what I did to paint them was I used the double tape trick, sticky side out, rolled up tape to hold them down since they're so fiddly. And I used a bit of brown acrylic paint and a bristly brush. Yeah, it's not a soft bristle, it's a fairly firm bristle, like a boar's bristle, or a cheap version of that. And I used the watered down brown acrylic paint, and I brushed on a wash all over these fence pieces. So that's the background color, the brown. And then once that was dry, hey Liz, how you doing? Once that brown was dry, what I did was I mixed up some grey, and I dry brushed a touch of the grey onto the bits of wood just to give it that aged look, because I don't know if you're familiar with timber, but if something's been built out of timber and left outside to weather, it goes that silvery grey. And so that's the kind of look we were going for. So this needs to have the aging put on it properly. And I've got to wait for the glue to dry, and it needs some pieces glued back on because they fell off. But that's how we get them looking all aged and old. And see, it's not perfect painting. Not at all. You've got to remember, we're aiming for a little fence that's been sitting there for 120 years. Thanks. What else did I talk about? Okay, so what else I talked about was how I'm going to display it once it's finished. Like, I was inspired by at some supermarkets you have delicatessens that sell salads and the like, and ours sell salads in containers that look like this. Yeah, this is just a plastic container. They're recyclable. So I'm going to recycle them, but in a different way. Instead of having it this way, which is the way they sold them, I'm going to put it this way and build the little diorama inside it. So that's going to be where the ground is, and that's going to fit over the top, and it's the perfect size to fit the tree, especially height-wise. So that's the kind of land space we're looking at. The ground works inside there. We're going to use air dry clay. I'm not affiliated with this brand at all. It's just whatever I grabbed at the shop. And so you can sculpt it out and then leave it to dry and then glue everything on. And that way it's all going to be protected, because I don't know about you guys, but dusting is annoying at times, especially with fiddly things that might fall apart. So this will protect them. And it's actually stackable. You could make multiple dioramas and have them all stacked. So that's kind of cool. You have this whole series of little worlds. Another thing that I talked about, I'm just waiting for my paint to dry and my glue to dry a little bit before I do some more repairs, is about the moss that I used on the tree and the cabin and the little headstone. What I used was a standard kitchen sponge. This is something else I learned on YouTube. You know, regular kitchen sponge, doesn't matter about the colours or whatever. I just got a pack of cheapies from the grocery store. And you cut them into small pieces about that big. Or you can cut them into, first of all, we cut it into like 2-inch squares. And then you can chop that into small pieces about that big. And then you put them into like a paper cup or whatever with a good pair of scissors. I used my dressmaking shears. And you just snip, 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 snip. And like you're literally like cutting like this, chopping them up. And it kills your forearms. Absolutely hammers them because you're doing it for a long time, but you keep going until you get the textures that you want or the size pieces that you want. Like this is what I would call a very large piece. So these are ones that are pre-cut. There's some much smaller pieces in there. So these ones are much smaller. This is the first ones that I made. What you do is once you get to the texture that you want, then you pour in a blob of regular acrylic paint. I've got some super cheap paint that's not very good for painting because I don't get good coverage, but I used a blob of that. You know, doesn't take much, and you stir it up. I used just a coffee stirrer stick, and I just stirred and stirred and stirred until all the sponges were coated with the paint. Sometimes you have to kind of push them into the paint and squish them down, but then you leave them to dry and they won't stick together. You leave them to dry, and then you've got moss or bushes or shrubbery or whatever, depending on the size that you make it. See, I've got 3 different shades. I've got phthalo green, I've got a leafy green, which is phthalo green with a bit of yellow mixed in, and then I've got the light green over here. And I thought I'd make the different colours so I can get more of a dappled light sort of effect going on the leaves of the tree. And you also find that if you chop it up really, really finely, you get this stuff. It looks kind of like dust almost. It's so tiny. And that's really good for the finer sized details, like on my little tiny headstones. I've just took the moss that I made and pushed it around in the sieve until the bits went through. And that's how I collected all that stuff instead of trying to pick it out a piece at a time. But, you know, that stuff in that container looked really small. But you look at it on the headstones that I made, and it looks quite large still. But it's good to have the different sizes separated out. Anyway, let's check on these bad boys and see if they're ready for the repairs yet. Oh yeah, that's about ready to glue on those bits again. So I've got my fine needle tip nozzle glue here. I'm trying very hard not to heavy breathe all over the camera. Just want you to stay put. There we go. Put that aside. This one seems to be holding together all right. It seems to be holding together all right. So this little gate fell apart, and so did this little side bit of fence. So we need to try and put them all back together again. Talk about dramatic. My goodness. Okay, that went in there, I think. So if we run a line across there, maybe, and just maybe, the gods will smile on us and we'll get this down in one go. Here we go. Leave that aside to glue up. How on earth did this one go? Goodness me. Goodness me. What am I not seeing? What am I not seeing? Aha. Gotcha. Good. Right now. Yeah. I'm going to need my tweezers for this sucker. There we go. Go. I think we got them. I hope. Oh, and of course he needs a bit of paint down that side. Of course. Okay. Okay. Oh, no, wait, we have someone over here who's come off. Oh, why are my tweezers sticky now? Okay, so anyway, while that's all curing up and doing its magic, quickly clean up my glue bottle. Little trick I use, because I don't want glue getting stuck in the nozzle, is squeeze the air out of the bottle, put the lid back on, right, and it sucks all the glue out of the nozzle, so I don't have to worry about it getting clogged up. My whole 49 cents from AliExpress. I don't want to waste it. It's good money. So anyway, one detail I want to show, which I don't think I pointed out in the last live, is notice with the fences, I've got the bottom of the palings close to the rail, and the other side they're a bit taller. There and there, that one, and that one. That's the bottom of the fence. That's going to be sitting by the ground. The top part doesn't matter if it's a little bit taller. So it just makes it a bit easier to try and get them down evenly when you put them together. Okay. Okay, let's move this away. I'm going to clean my tweezers off. Always keep paper towels handy when I'm working, because I use it for cleaning brushes, I use them for wiping glue off. mopping up spills. I am a bit clumsy, so spills are not out of the question. There we go. Pick a bit of that glue off. And some glue that's dried up. There we go. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. And of course, silly me before was yakking away as I was busy painting everything, and I had not hit the go live button. I thought I had, but clearly I hadn't. And I did all the painting, apparently off camera. Bit of a dork. But never mind. Never mind. I'm new at this. The next step, once these are all dried and I've touched up the paint wherever it needs to be touched up, the next step, glue down, you bugger. The next step will be to use these tiny little bits, glue them in the corners, and then glue the other fence panel across. So we'll make that rectangle out of them. I will have to be super careful we don't break them all apart, because apparently they all want to break apart at the moment. That over there, that's still got to dry. But that's where we're at. Anyway, yeah, I know I need more. I need more tools, Liz. I know I need another pair of tweezers. I need tools. I need to buy them all. I'm a bit of a craft hoarder. I can't help myself. So anyway, that's it for now, and I will see you next time when I do a little bit more on my little diorama. I'll see you then. Bye.